Joe Hopkins here, and, well, I saw a lot of ads. I think you guys have too. If you're on Facebook or Instagram or any of them things, you've seen ads for these Progressions Classics by Jeffrey Kund, who's supposedly like, I don't know, songwriter, producer, something like that. He's a guitar guy, right? So I'm like, are they any good? Now, if you've seen the ads, it makes it look like this is the greatest thing that's happened to guitarists since the capo, right? And, well, I'll just tell you, we all know advertising, like, oh, you got to hype up your product, right? I'd say they overhyped it a bit. I'm not saying they're bad, right? I'm going to go over them here and tell you what's in here because I was curious. I checked it out. But yeah, one thing with the advertisements, okay? The idea that using a capo is bad and you should know how to play without the capo. I don't need a capo. I can play the chords. I know the chords, but I honestly don't like it when people put down capos. There's nothing wrong with capos. I honestly like the way a lot of the traditional chords sound on the guitar, and sometimes I want to play them higher up on the neck, and the capo makes that easy. I like capos. I use capos. I use them quite a bit, actually. But when it comes down to it, yes, you can throw the capo away and just play without it, and that's a good thing to know. You should know the chords. The whole idea that this will make you like an amazing, musician, they show, on the ads, all of a sudden now you know all the chords in the different places. Yeah, I don't know. It's a little overhyped, but in general, I do find these to be incredibly useful. For the money, I think I paid like $40 and you get 3 books. That feels like a little bit much, but also, I mean, everything costs more than it used to, so I guess that's about right nowadays. For a little collection of, I think it was 40 or 30, something. It was around there, 40-ish, around, maybe a little under, maybe a little over. I forget exactly. But in general, what these have, and I find this to be some pretty nice reference material. Unlike most chord books, it doesn't go by chords. It goes by, as it says, progressions. So you find the progression you want, right? Let me show you here. Yeah, you got the progression major 1, minor 6, major 4, major 5, right? So it's got it listed by progression, and they're all very common progressions. If you want to go really, do chord progressions that are really out of the box, maybe it's not in these, but you can see it's got a table of contents. It's pretty easy to find them. You find the progression you're using, and it gives you the like the 1, 6, 4, 5 because they do it in the different keys. They can't, they're not going to give you the key because then, like, it starts with like A major, and you can see, I do find this to be pretty neat. You have your A major as the standard shapes and different ways to play it. And then A major alternate shapes, different ways to play it. And then it goes to like A sharp, B flat, same thing. So it goes up the keys all the way through to G sharp, A flat, and then goes to the next progression. In general, this isn't something I need mostly because I know how to play the majority of these chords, and if it's a chord I don't know, I can usually figure it out pretty easy. I've been playing guitar a while, so a lot of times I know these things. I don't necessarily need the books. For somebody that's starting out, that doesn't know all the chord shapes or doesn't know where to play them up and down the neck, these seem like they'd be incredibly useful. And like I said, it's got 3... You get 3 books because, you're not going to fit all the stuff in one book. So that makes sense. For me, I find these incredibly useful, or I believe they will be incredibly useful just for reference kind of stuff. Because like I said, I know the chords, but these days I have to think about it. I'm getting a little bit older. My brain doesn't brain like it used to. And maybe it's just because there's a lot more stuff up here. As you get older, you learn more and then you forget things. So for reference material, this is nice because when I am sitting down writing a song, I don't always remember all the places I have to sit and think about it a minute if I want to play a chord in a different spot, especially if it's one that I don't use a lot. If it's a particular chord shape or I'm playing it on a place on the neck that I don't usually. Sometimes I got to sit and think about it. It'd be nice to have a reference material. I can look up the progression I'm using or something pretty close anyway, and find the chord shapes. Find the one I want to use. That seems like it'd be pretty convenient. I think I probably will use this for reference material or for ideas anyway, just to look through it if I'm trying to come up with a chord progression for a song. It might be kind of cool, just saying, to just flip through it and pick one at random and just go, okay, I'm going to use that. That seems like it could be fun. I do that a lot of times. I'll pick stuff at random, just kind of like close my eyes and point at a chord chart and pick out a couple chords. Can I make those go together? That can be fun. One thing I would like with these, they'd cost more if they did this, but it'd be nice if it was like had rings, like, piano books a lot of times, so that it would lay flat easier. But it's not that hard. You can kind of fold it back and then it sets up. I've got another nice thing about capos, when you set them on your music stand, you can use them as clips. You put this on the music stand and then put your capos over it and it holds them. So I do that too. But yeah, these seem like they'd be really good for people that are just getting into learning guitar, or they're just getting into songwriting, or they want to people that don't know all the chords, that haven't been doing this as long maybe, or never bothered to learn all the chord shapes up and down the neck. These make really good reference books. They seem like they'd be really good for learning that stuff. And like I said, for me, they seem like they'd be good reference books. Like if you've been playing a long time, you start to forget the things you used to know, like I said. So for reference, these are good. I got a lot of books that I use for reference, especially since I switch between instruments. I'll have I got a book full of mandolin chords and chord progressions and whatnot, because when I pick it up, a lot of times I've forgotten some things since the last time I played it, because I don't pick it up all the time. You know what I mean? I switch between instruments a lot. Reference books are good. I got a lot of them. And these seem like they'd be good for that. And like I said, just picking stuff at random, I just think that'd be fun. Just, there. What do we got? D sharp, E flat, major. Major 1, major 4, major 5. Okay, that's a pretty standard chord progression. That's just, your 5-bar or 12-bar blues kind of stuff. But it seems like that'd be fun. Just flip through it, pick one at random, and then play with that. That could be fun. I see a lot of good uses for these books. Now, on their website, they have a lot of other books. I don't remember what the website's called. It's Guitar Institute, I think it's called, something like that. But you've all seen the ads. Just click on the ad, it'll take you there. If you're on Facebook and you look up guitar stuff at all, you've seen ads for these. And you're probably going to see one today. Just click on that. I'm not putting a link. You can find the link, right? I'm not going through all that work. Not that it's a lot of work, but screw it. I'm just not doing it. But yeah, I think these would be good materials. They have other books on there. I don't know if they'd be worth my while to check them out. They seem like they'd be less for guitar reference and more for songwriting or production, some of them, that kind of stuff. I'm sure they're fine books, especially for people just getting into that kind of thing. They seem to be, like a lot of guitar books, pretty beginner-based. I gotta admit, my favorite reference books tend to be chord, arpeggio, scales, because I don't remember, especially scales and arpeggios. I don't remember all of them. So it's good to have a book where I can reference that stuff when I need to. But these seem like they'd be a nice collection to my library of reference material for guitar. And of course, they do get, most of these are like 3 and 4 chord progressions, but they have pretty much pretty much all of the ones that are very commonly used. And it can be kind of neat to just, get some ideas out of it. Look up the progression you want, or just look up a random progression and pick different ways to play it. And I'm thinking, to be honest with you, you could mix and match too. Like, pick your first chord out of this group, pick the second chord down here, pick the third one up here. You can mix and match them. And a lot of them are pretty common bar chords that we all know. You know, that E shape, A minor shape, stuff like that, where it's bar chord, and we all know those shapes. That's pretty common, and a lot of them are that. They made it on the ad sound like they got all the really crazy, cool, chord voicings, and they do have some of them, but a lot of them are your very common chord shapes, which of course you're going to have your common chord shapes. And if you have trouble with bar chords, honestly, a lot of them can be simplified, because I know a lot of people are like, well, I struggle with bar chords. Well, then don't bar it then. You just, with your index finger, just finger or bar the bottom string or two. Don't worry about that top E. In fact, a lot of times I don't, when I'm barring stuff, if I got to do it quick, I don't bar the whole thing. I just kind of wrap my thumb around and mute that high E and just do like an F shape, which is just E moved up one without the bar. I'm just, So, yeah, if you struggle with bar chords, you can always do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But the books are interesting. I do think, like I said, I'm going to use them. I'm probably going to use them for quite a few different things. I can see them as having different uses. One thing I found kind of confusing, like with the E, they show the open strings as being fingered below the nut, which I can look at it and say, yeah, okay, I get that, right? A beginner, I don't know, that might confuse you. You might be like, well, how do I finger those? You might not get it. Those are open. Yeah, but in general, I think these are pretty well put together. If you're interested in material like this, it's pretty good stuff. It says on the back about the author. Jeffrey Kund is a studio musician, author, and instructor in Southern California. There you go, studio musician. I'm guessing that he wanted reference materials. That's most of the time when guitarists do a book, it's the book that they wished they had. So, and I can see it. These are nice reference materials, even for experienced musicians like myself, just because you can't remember everything, and sometimes it's good just as little mental refresher. Look up your chord progression, and oh, that's right, I can play it there. Oh, I forgot I can play it that way too, because you forget things. Do you guys do that? Do you forget things? I forget things. I didn't used to. I used to be able to find everything all up and down the neck without any trouble, and now I forget things all the time. But yeah, chords you don't use a lot, you tend to forget. You forget they exist. So I think these could be good for beginners. They could be good for intermediate musicians. They could even be good for advanced guys like a lot of us who just want something to refer to at times. And they're rather, I like the size. These are sized right where I can fit them on my desk or just like off to the side. A lot of reference books are big. I'm not going to dig one out. I got these. Most of my reference books are like, coffee table size books. And these are not. A lot of them, too, do have the rings so that you can lay them flat, but they're bigger books. And sometimes those are a little bit bulkier. You stick them on a shelf. These, you can kind of just lay them anywhere. Nice size to them. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot. You can just lay them anywhere, but it is convenient to be able to do that. And it's, bigger books you can't fit on your desk where you're recording, and you can't just always stick them in a guitar case. You couldn't fit all three of these in a guitar case, I don't think. Maybe, under your guitar. Maybe if you laid them out flat or something like that, laid them out together like that. But yeah. You could definitely fit one, to pick your favorite one, stick that in your guitar case. But yeah, if you laid all three together are a bit thick. Maybe that's why he did them in 3 volumes, because I think if I did that way, I think that would fit under an acoustic guitar in the case. So if you have a gig bag, they could all slide in that front pocket. Most of my books won't fit in the front pocket of a gig bag. Like I said, they're bigger books. These seem pretty convenient, conveniently sized, and they're conveniently laid out. And I like that. To be honest with you, I'd love a book exactly like this, where it's done instead of by progression, by chord, and has all the voicings up the neck. That would be a great piece of reference material. I don't know if they have, maybe they sell that. I don't know, like just a plain chord book. Mostly because I had a really great chord book that was laid out just like that fit in my guitar case, and is perfect, and I don't know where it is. I can't find it. And it is good to have a chord book, and I can't get another copy of it because it's old. My dad gave me that book in the late 80s, and he'd had it a while. Best chord book I ever had. It's probably in my old guitar case, probably. Anyway, so yeah. If you're thinking about, these, you've seen the ads and you're wondering, are they any good? Yeah, actually they are pretty good. I don't know if they live up to all the hype in the ad, but nothing ever does. You got to hype your product to sell it. It's not a miracle cure for, how to play things, but it's definitely these are good for learning if you're a beginner. They're good for reference if you've been doing this a while. Like I said, I'll probably use these. I'll probably be using these more than I expected to, I think. Especially for play the chord roulette, that progression. I like that idea. And I'm going to give that a try. Just pick random progressions. This seems a good way to do it. Anyway, I hope this was a bit helpful. Yeah, and if you want to hear how good I am at the guitar, listen to my new album, Talking Dogs, by Joe Hopkins. There's a link, there's a playlist. Comes up in a couple minutes here, and there's links down below to streaming to check out my music. And I got some music videos on here, too. I might put that playlist on the end here, too. And, I'll see you guys in the next video. Check these out. See if you like them. All right? I love you guys. Peace out, baby. Bye-bye.